So should we or should we not use tracks in our live worship sets? I'll tell you what I think right after this. Hey everybody, welcome back to Music and Ministry. My name is Keegan Sidhu. Today we're going to answer the question of whether or not you should be using tracks in your live worship sets. But before we do that, real quick, if you haven't already, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel and share it. And don't forget to hit those notifications so you don't miss every time I drop a new video. All right, that out of the way, let's get to it. I'm going to say right up front, I think absolutely you should be running tracks, at least a click track if you're not already, in your live worship sets. And I'm going to give you 4 reasons why I think you should, and at the end I'm going to give you 2, maybe 3 reasons why it might not be for everybody. It might not be for you right now at least. And so let's dive into it. But I want to keep this in mind. We're all worship leaders, worship pastors. When we're talking about implementing any kind of technology, especially tracks into our live worship sets, I think we have to keep the main goal in focus. And so I wrote this down. The ultimate goal in using tracks is to help provide a consistent, quality, engaging worship atmosphere for your people every time you gather to worship. That's the be-all, end-all goal. This is about helping our people distraction-free worship God each and every time we're leading them in a worship moment. And so I think tracks can greatly help enhance do that. So here's my 4 reasons. And before I get into those, I'm going to say this. This is really going to be a 2-part conversation. So this first video, I'm going to lay out my reasons why I think you should be using tracks, how they can benefit you. And then the second video, I'm going to do a follow-up and show you kind of exactly how I'm implementing and using tracks, the technology I'm using, the equipment and gear. So that'll give you a little bit of a heads up on that. But let's jump to it. The very first reason I think you should be using tracks is consistency. So we've all been there. We've all started Good, Good Father or another song that relies heavily on the tempo being right on, because it's hard to sing it if it's too fast, too slow. And so having a track for all of your songs will ensure that your team has the right tempo every single time you go to lead that song live. And that helps our congregation engage and sing it comfortably. And so that's the number 1 reason, is consistency. The other part of consistency is that it helps you with time signature. So there's songs that are 6/8, some of these ballad songs like Reckless Love and some others, and then we have our 4/4 songs. And if you're going from a 4/4 to a 6/8, then maybe back to a 4/4 in the context of a set, it can be a little bit confusing and a little bit hard on the fly with everything else going on to lock that tempo in. And we've been there. We've been there. I'm sure if you've led worship long enough, you've started a song that was supposed to be in 6/8 with 4/4 still locked in your head, and it just doesn't work. So having the track right there takes all the guesswork out, not only for you, but for the rest of your team. It's easy to just listen to that for a moment, get that locked in, and then play it in the right key signature as well as tempo. The next thing I think, aside from consistency, is quality. Now, every pretty much song that's out there nowadays that we're all pulling from, whether it's Elevation, Bethel, Upper Room, Maverick City, River Valley, Hillsong, on the list goes. These songs today have so many layers. Matter of fact, we're doing Battle Belongs this weekend, and I just realized there's like 7, 8, 9 different electric guitar parts in this song alone. I don't have 9 electric guitarists up on the platform with me to lead this song, and so I either have 1 of 2 choices. I can either play the tracks to supplement the live instrumentation that we do have, or I play the song and there's so much missing that it's just not going to hit the same way. It's not going to be the same song that people have already fallen in love with and been worshiping to, whether when they're in their car, listening on Spotify or YouTube or whatever. And so being able to recreate these songs that our people are already listening to, already loving, hearing on the radio, if we try and recreate those songs in a live setting and they're just nowhere near the original, it just takes away from it. And so I think the quality is a huge thing, and being consistent week in and week out. And you may be in a situation like me where we still are a young church, and so our worship team has still got to grow. Some weeks we have two people, literally myself and one other person. So we have one instrumentalist, and then other weeks we might have, 5 volunteers that are available that weekend. And so for your congregation to have to go up and down with, there's 2 instruments this week, oh, there's 6 this week, it's going to be really exciting, back to 1 next week. It's really a roller coaster for them. But if you use tracks as a supplement, you can fill in all those gaps on the weeks that you have, less people. You can play more of the tracks. On the weekends that maybe you have more live instruments, you can play less tracks. And so it overall provides a greater, smoother, consistent experience for your people. And here's the other thing I'll say about quality. Sometimes there's a lead electric part, say, for example, on a song like Freedom by Jesus Culture, that's really iconic. It's so embedded in that song that if you don't play it, people will know it's missing. But maybe you have an electric guitarist that's great at a rhythm or acoustic, and they can't really play that lead part. Well, now with the help of tracks, we can still play that lead part and take the pressure off your volunteer that you have to still be able to play what they're confident and comfortable and able to play. So they still get to help lead worship, help be a part of the band, but they don't have to worry about trying to play that lead part. Everybody's not looking to them, and yet the congregation will still get to hear it, and it'll still be a part of the song. So that's a huge thing with quality. The third reason is practice. Now, if you're in the multitracks.com or multitracks kind of universe, they have a tool called Rehearsal Mix that I think is a game changer. And no, I'm not sponsored by Multitracks. None of the resources that I'm going to tell you do I get paid to talk about. I'm just simply going to share with you what I use, why I use it. And so Rehearsal Mix as a practice tool is phenomenal. Our people, we all know volunteers today, their time is being pulled in every direction. They're working, they have families, and so them having the moment to be able to practice, it could be 20 minutes here, it could be 30 minutes here. They may not have a set time that they can really get away for 2 hours and just practice to be ready for rehearsal and then ready for the weekend. And so it's important that what they are practicing is going to be what they're expected to play on rehearsal and on the weekends. And so Rehearsal Mix, what that does is once you've set your set for the weekend, they can go in and in every song, they can pull it down and listen to only their part, which is great. So if I say, hey, can you learn this electric 2 part? They can go in and just solo that electric 2 track and listen and play along with it. And then once they've got it nailed, they can go back and take that track alone out of the mix, play along live with the mix in the same way that they'll be doing on rehearsal in the weekend. And it's just been a game changer because our volunteers, we want them to be confident. We want them to have joy and have excitement and look forward to what they're playing, not be stressed out, worried about what version are we doing. It used to be in the old days before Rehearsal Mix, I'd say, well, can you listen to this song and learn the part? Well, what if you can't always hear your part all the way through the song? It can be very difficult. And so Rehearsal Mix has just helped make practice so much better for all of our volunteers. Now they come in, they know exactly what they're ready to play and what they needed to prepare for, and it just makes rehearsals run smooth. And then the last reason I would say is lyrics. We all know one of the biggest things that we need to happen on Sundays and in our worship services is for the lyrics to be right on time so that our congregation can sing along, especially when it's songs that are new, that we're introducing, that maybe they haven't memorized or learned fully. We want them to be able to engage. And so having the lyrics right on time every time through every song is so key. And with the ability to MIDI map the cues to trigger the slides in your presentation software is just priceless. There's no other way to say it. And so I'll go in and using playback and in that app, you can also do it in Ableton if you're running your tracks through Ableton. But being able to just map out and make sure that those lyrics are going to come up right before you need to actually sing them just keeps everybody right in the song. They don't get lost, and it's just unbelievably helpful. And so those are really my 4 reasons why I would say you need to use tracks: consistency, quality, practice, and lyrics. Now I will say there's maybe a couple of reasons why you shouldn't use tracks, at least right now. Number one is cost. It's going to cost you. It's going to be an investment. Number one, you have to have an in-ear monitor mix set up. So if you don't already have that, if you're still using monitors, floor monitors, and your sounds, you're not going to be able to do this because you can't have the click and the guide coming through the monitors where everybody can hear it. It's going to be super distracting. And so you're going to have to spend the money to get an in-ear monitor set up. Number two, there's a subscription cost. Whatever place that you're going to get your lyrics from, maybe if it's multi-tracks, for example, and you're running their playback app, there's a subscription cost for that monthly, plus the cost of your actual tracks. And then you got to talk about technology and gear for how you're going to run the tracks, whether it's through an iPad, whether it's through somebody's phone, whether it's through another computer or laptop, something like that. So there is a cost that has to be factored in. It can be a little bit expensive, especially if you're a younger church. The second thing I would say is if you feel that tracks hinder you more than they help you. If you stick around long enough, you'll hear me say this. Anytime technology helps me, I'm going to use it. And anytime that I feel it's hindering me, I'm going to be the first to throw it away. Because after all, my main goal is to worship. My main goal is not to be distracted by production or distracted by technology. When I get into that moment where now I'm leading God's people into His presence, I want to be able to focus on that 100%. And so if I'm too stressed out because I'm trying to get technology working or get tracks set up or get lyrics mapped and all that, if it's too much for everything else that I already have on my plate, then it's not worth it. Because you don't want to be hindered and not be able to worship, especially when your role is to lead worship. It's hard to do that if you can't worship yourself. So right now, if you don't have the resources, you don't have people that can help you, there is a learning curve with all of this, setting it all up, the technology, getting it to work. If you don't have time to invest in that, and it's going to be more of a frustration for you, I would say hold off, don't do it. Or maybe, just start with a click track. Even just the tempo without all the other instrumentation, being able to have that will help your team. And then I would say the last thing is if you feel that it's inauthentic for you. I know using any technology at first can be a little bit uncomfortable. You have to get used to it. And there was a time when I first was introduced to even in-ear monitors, having the sound right in my ears versus listening to it in the room for reference was a total awkward thing for me at first. But now I'm to the point where it's awkward for me not to use it. And it's really the same with tracks. It was kind of, I think I probably felt what a lot of people feel the first time you start using it, that once you hit go and hit play, tracks are kind of this runaway train that if you don't catch up with it, you're going to get lost and you're going to be chasing it the whole worship set. And that can be nerve-wracking. But really, with today, with the tools and how much everything is advanced, the tracks really do work for us. I'm able to, on the fly, repeat a section or go back to a section or just stop them all together. I mean, you have so much control if you set it up right and use the right gear that I really think it can be something that's smooth and shouldn't be fearful. But at the same time, if you feel like you're not comfortable enough with it and you feel inauthentic in using it, then I would say wait. Either spend some more time getting used to playing with tracks before you introduce it into a live setting, or maybe just don't use it at all. And so that's really my 2, maybe 3 reasons why you shouldn't use tracks, or maybe it's not the right time. But overall, like I said, I think the benefits far outweigh the negatives. I think that's why more and more people, this has just become routine to have tracks, to use tracks, to fill in and supplement, to make these songs as great as we can make them. No matter how many people we have on our team, it's just a pretty phenomenal thing what technology can do if it's used in the right way. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to make this video too long. Like I said, the next video, I will jump into how I'm actually running our tracks, how I set it up, the different tools that I'm using. And then if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments or let me know what platform you're using or how you're using your tracks. I'd love to know that. I'm still learning too. So if there's something you're doing that I can learn from, I would love to know that. And then if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Hit me up and I'll be happy to try and answer those the best that I can. Because again, I want to be a resource on this channel more than anything else, a resource and an encouragement to you. So if you're excited to get into tracks and you've been thinking about it for a while and you just haven't taken that step, I also can help you with maybe starting you off with a baby step, because I can tell you right now, Ableton is a huge learning curve. It also pays off huge dividends in that it offers you absolutely limitless creativity in how you're running tracks and even other things that you can do with using Ableton. But for someone who's brand new and just wants to get into it, I would say playback is probably a brilliant solution for you and is the least difficult to get started with. And so I'll dive into that more on the next video. But for now, thanks again for watching. I hope this video has helped you. And if it has, don't forget to hit subscribe and like it, so that helps me grow the channel, as well as hit those notifications and you'll be sure to know when I drop the next video. God bless y'all. I'll see you next time.